right, here we go. Another episode of Canada on the Rocks. I am your host, Patty Coder, local realtor with Sun Group Ottawa. And today we are joined with one of my favorite people, Mr. Handsome himself. John, how are you, buddy?
I'm fantastic.
John is from INTEGA IT. It's a mouthful.
It's not.
And you got to say it a certain way. And I've made so many mistakes. So I'm going to let him say it himself and explain to me why he got that name.
So it's called INTEGA.
It's easy. I already made a mistake.
INTEGA. No, you were close. You're close. But you know, if you keep saying it, it is repeated.
Integrity.
It's not quite integrity. It's halfway there. INTEGA. So I won't repeat this again, but INTEGA is Latin for whole and complete. And that's sort of the running our business. Yeah.
Fantastic. That is the whole ultimate goal for IT is whole and complete.
Yeah.
So John, for folks that are watching, explain to us, what do you guys do? What's the premise of the business? How long you've been? Just a little background, the story, if you don't.
Yeah. So I started the business 23 years ago, believe it or not. And it's a funny space because, as you know, you've been in IT before.
Yeah.
It's an evolution. So you started one way. When I started the business, it was B2C.
So you're always chasing that whole and complete.
You're always chasing that whole and complete. We were actually called Dr. Desktop. So we did this doctor to house calls. That's how it started. So and as you go along and you're realizing, okay, well, in order for me to make money, I need to wait for the phone ring. We don't want to be doing that anymore. So then I said, okay, well, let's go to businesses and start with the businesses. And then in 2013, I rebranded to INTEGA, which was kind of a crazy step. I said, okay, all my residential clients were going to park. And most of my business clients I had at that time were going to park. I'm looking for a different type of client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like you do when you rebrand, you kind of have to kind of shift the focus a little bit as far as like the type of client that you want to serve.
Right.
Because from what you said, it might have not served you well to grow.
It wouldn't serve you well to grow. And I think, and luckily we made the transition. So I started doing B2B, and that basically allowed us to sort of grow and have a little bit more stability in the business.
Yeah.
What we do is basically we do IT from A to Z. So we'll do the help desk, we'll do the infrastructure design, now we're into the security. So as we're speaking now, our company is pivoting. So we're called an MSP, a managed service provider. We're migrating into an MSSP, so that's a managed security service provider.
That's a whole other beast.
That's a whole other
beast.
Yeah.
For folks that are watching that are not really sure what managed service is all about, we're going to dig it a little bit deeper just so we can explain it a little bit. It's basically the way I used to look at it when I was in the space.
Right.
It's one thing for you as a business to have your stuff working.
Yeah.
It's another to have somebody that's going to promise you that it's never going to go down.
Right. And that's a big promise.
And then that's a big promise. Or at least minimize that going down factor instead of being, maybe half an hour a month, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're down as a business, especially in the B2B space, you're losing money.
Yeah. And one of the biggest verticals we service is legal. Mm-hmm. And, lawyers are billing by tenths of an hour, so they understand the cost of being down.
$500 an hour can be quite hefty if you're down for a couple hours.
Absolutely. And then times that by however many people are in the company.
Correct. Not only that, but like a lot of the times too, like we all know about this with lawyers, is sometimes quadruple billing, right?
Yeah.
You got an email, you got this, like they're billing 4 or 5 hours, an hour.
They're very efficient with the billing.
Exactly. So we all have lawyers at some point. We all know.
Well, we need them. They're a necessary evil.
100%.
And the older you get, the more you need them, actually.
Oh, yeah. With divorce and so many other things. It's real estate law. There's so many different...
State law, you're thinking now, okay, what am I leaving to my kids? We're going to do a plan. We're going to...
Yeah.
Those are all big things.
So managed service provider, it's, again, we're going to talk a little bit about more the MSP space and then the MSSP space. From my experience, it's a beast. There's so many managed service providers in Ottawa.
Yeah. So
worldwide, in North America in general. How do you guys differentiate yourself from the competition?
Great question. It is really hard to differentiate yourself because, as you mentioned, the barriers to entry are pretty low for this type of business. I mean, in Ottawa, every time I look around, there's a company. I'm like, I haven't heard of them. A lot of the companies are what I call trunk slammers. It's one or two guys, owner-operator, working in the business.
I love that term, trunk slamming. My favorite.
Well, you can use it probably for your vertical as well.
It's basically like one call, you close the deal, and then you move on, and then you lose it, and then you're next. And
and they're operating out of their car.
Correct.
So as our company is mature, then you got, you're surrounding yourself with good people. Now you're bringing in better tools. Now you got a reputation. So you're building the business up. So being a differentiator for us, we're very boutique. So when I get a call for a customer, it's a two-way interview. Are we a good fit for you, or are you a good fit for us? Because if the expectations can't align, we're not going to do big.
I love that you brought that up. Somebody once said to me, expectations is all about both parties understanding what's the outcome.
Absolutely.
Because if for whatever reason, I don't understand what your expectations are, then you don't understand mine, we're never going to meet them.
And our space is particularly tough because, our clients are getting a bill every month, and a lot of our work is done through automation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like out of sight, out of mind. What's going on here? Did they really do anything? Did they not do anything? So reporting, constant communication with the customers is key to make sure that we're always on the same page.
Automation, it's the key of managed service providers worldwide. If you're not automating, you're really just losing money at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So the way I used to describe it when I was in the space, I used to describe it to some MSPs that are sort of venturing into the space, like they're, those trunk slammers that are trying to get into the business.
Yeah.
It's funny because I used to use this kid, Johnny. It's funny that we're your name is John as well.
I want to live up to the name I know.
From down the street, Johnny once came to my house and he said, "Hey man, I'd cut the grass for you, $20 every week. How does that sound?" I said, "Great, I don't have to cut it. No problem. Let me know when I pay you." He said, "Once a month you pay me, and then we call it a day."
Yeah.
So I see Johnny basically at the beginning of the summer. He says hello, and then at the end of the summer I pay him the bill. We're good to go. Then a couple of years go by, and then Johnny comes back and he goes, "Hey man, I want to cut the grass. I'm still going to do the $20 a deal. You guys have been with me for a couple of years now, but I'm probably going to do it twice a week now. Is that okay with you?" I said, "Even better." He goes, "I'm very efficient and very quick." So what Johnny did, he went out and bought a nice lawnmower right along, and it's just so fast. Like he's coming in and doing it within about 5 minutes. He's done my grass.
Yeah.
My grass used to take about an hour before. Yeah. So I'm still paying him for the service. It's the same thing. That's where automation comes in for you guys.
It's more efficient now.
More efficient.
Yeah.
And then you're able to service a lot more clients.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about the clients out of sight, out of mind. What does that do to you and the nature of the business?
Well, it's an uphill battle, regardless. Like for us, we're very, service centric. So we're touching base with our clients, at least once a month. We have an account manager. Hey, we're just doing a pulse check, seeing what's up. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're not doing. And then further to that,
and you got one of the best account managers in the business there, Dorothy.
Well, actually, Dorothy's our VCIO.
Amazing, even better.
Yeah. So Dorothy leads our account manager. But what Dorothy does is she says, "Okay, hey, here's your business. We're going to do a roadmap. Here's everything we want." Like, say you're a new client.
Yeah.
We come in. Here's a State of the Union. Here's everything we need to do to get you status quo.
Yeah.
So if you have a big bag of cash, fantastic. We'll just change it all. If you don't, and you're like most businesses, and maybe you're cost sensitive, here's a roadmap with the priorities over the next year or 2 years to say, this is what we need to do. Then we'll have a discussion like, what are you doing with the business? Are you guys growing? Are you guys shrinking? Are you expanding to another market? And that way we can plan the technology to fit the business and the plans of the business.
So one of those things that I like Dorothy used to do religiously, and I'm very 100% sure she still does it to this day, was that reporting factor.
Absolutely.
Letting the business know, what are we actually doing behind this?
Absolutely. That's key.
Tell me a little bit more about that, and how is that helping you showcase your value as a business owner?
Yeah, there's different kinds of reports that we do. So we go from asset management. Here's an aging summary of this many computers. This is how old they are. If we want to turn them over in an efficient way where productivity can go through faster because, the computers are faster and they're more efficient. Or straight up to, where we move into the cloud. Are we getting off of the on-prem server? And now with the security portion, the reporting is like, hey, here's all the threats we've detected. Here's what we shut down. We're using what's called an MDR solution, so it's managed and it's watched live. So if there's a breach, like, hey, Fatty was in the office, he logged in, he went home, great. Now all of a sudden, Fatty's trying to log in from India 17 times today. Now it's improbable travel, so we know that there's probably something wrong, so shut it down. So what happens is the company that we're partnered with, it's Field Effect, probably our best partner ever, the local company. They do the monitoring.
Shout out to Rebecca and Ryan.
Absolutely. A great team. Probably in 23 years, my best partnership.
Yeah.
Absolutely involved with me. Absolutely, I'm involved with them. It's a very fluid relationship. And basically, they would send over what's called an ARO, action request, or for the last part of the acronym and say, here's the thread, here's what we need to do. Our guys will either take action or they've already taken action.
Yeah.
So those are key to demonstrate to the customer, like, hey guys, like we saved somebody here.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped the breach. And a lot of the times when the breach happens, it's usually something sitting dormant for months and people don't know.
And that's the thing. A lot of the hackers are getting a lot smarter nowadays with the whole just kind of implement it in there, let it sit. And then,
it's a business.
Exactly. And they do this on a grand scale, right? Like it's not like just doing it to John's little business or, Jim, or they got to do it for 100, 200, 300, maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
And then they wait to start harvesting that. Why is it important for you guys to be out there watching for those clients?
Well, I mean, a breach is big. And it's good that you brought up that, hey, they're doing it on mass scale. Because a lot of people have the misconception like, well, my business is irrelevant. No one's going to want my stuff. Well, these guys are spraying.
Yeah.
It's coming out. It's not actually somebody. It's all automated, and they're pushing out. Yeah, exactly, and they're looking for weak links. So if they penetrate a business and it's a good business, they'll sit and they'll monitor the way it works, and then they'll mask. Okay, who's the controller? Let's just send an email. It happens to me all the time. Actually, it's funny in our business we do it, but we actually are a target as well. My accounting department will say, hey, I got this invoice and it's me sending the email and it's like,
I don't have my credit card.
Can you help me? I need some gift cards. I need something like that. It's actually realistic. And when I say it's not if you're going to get breached, it's when you get breached because
it's always a matter of
business. Yeah. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too about it is like the one question that always kind of begs to ask itself is, as a business, can you afford being shut down for a day?
That's also a good question. And unfortunately for our space, we get treated sort of as, the mechanics of the industry. Everything works great. I don't really... Okay, if I take all the computers out of here today, how much money are we making today? Now, if you're bricks and mortar and you're in contracting, okay, you can still go about your day. But if you're an office...
Correct.
If you're an accounting firm, if you're a law firm, can you afford to be down to the whole office, and what would that cost?
Yeah, and the other thing too is you're going to get people that always fight the other side of it, is saying something like, well, I'm on the cloud, everything is on the cloud.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
You know what the cloud is?
Oh, I know what the cloud is. Can you explain it to folks?
Well, it's your shit in someone else's closet.
That's exactly it. That's literally it. It's basically...
It's not a magical place.
It's not a magical place.
Teletubbies.
Instead of me kind of having that laptop, I just have basically a thin client on that laptop. I dial into somebody else's house.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not a house. It's a massive data center in one way or another.
Yeah.
If that gets breached, it's actually worse because it's not just my business.
Yeah.
It's about maybe 2,000 other businesses.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons why these guys are really successful at it, because they're always going to data centers. They're going to places that are just clobbering with information.
They're hitting the big target.
Yeah. And I think another question too that comes along as well too is, how far back can you afford losing from a data breach perspective?
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you guys from a data recovery, all of that stuff? Tell me a little bit more the value that you bring.
So we're doing a holistic approach to cybersecurity and to data retention. So, people have a misconception, hey, my Office 365 is in the cloud. Well, it's backed up from Microsoft. Well, it's actually not.
It's only 30 days.
They're hosting. So we'll do cloud-to-cloud backup for the mailboxes. You could have an instance where you're letting somebody go and they're high profile and they clear their inbox out and then leave. So now you don't know what's going on or what the state they left it at. So there's cloud-to-cloud backup for that. We do the spam for emails coming in. We do the field effect, which is the product's called Covalence. So that sits in the office and it monitors all the traffic in and out. And then we do the cybersecurity training. So this is a big one.
Training is probably like the biggest aspect that's missing in a lot of the industries.
Yes. The weakest link is the user.
Correct.
Oh, I clicked on that. What back in the day used to be, okay, hacker's going to penetrate your firewall. They're going to get in. You got a breach. Now, it's the users that are the weakest link. Oh, I got this email. I clicked the thing, and then you're installing something, and then we're off to the races. The product that we use, it's really fun. You see the company, you see all the employees. Everybody has a score, so it's interactive, and you guys can compete. But it's 2-3 minutes a week.
It's been like lately. It's been coming up a lot in like the media, and we had that massive breach a while back that like some people ended up.
Yeah, the CrowdStrike one. Yeah.
CrowdStrike. The one before, I think it was Ashley Madison, people losing their jobs, their security. Like, there's so many things that we just trust in.
Absolutely.
Blind trust.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but I'm saying learn how to trust it.
And to your point, people are like, okay, well, I got cyber insurance. Well, cyber insurance is great, but we've picture it like car insurance. It's great because you drove your car into a tree and now you fix the car and you get back on the road.
What? Cyber insurance also, correct me if I'm wrong, requires you to have certain measures and preventions.
Yes, now they're getting pretty stringent. If depending on what vertical you're in, like like any of the industrial, anybody who's doing product development, they got these big CNC machines, they got big manufacturing machines on an old computer. Maybe the software is $100,000. So they don't want to change the computer. They want to update it. That is, weak leak. But back to my point about the breach, you got the cyber insurance, so it leaves a false sense of security that you're covered. And then you go to make a claim. But now you've already lost your productivity. And the big one is now you got reputational damage. Your clients are looking at you and saying, hey, I've done business with you and you've been breached. Now is my stuff at risk with you? So this is a big one too. Yeah. Now you may have, people are looking at businesses and saying, are you guys fully protected to service us and handle our business? And, a lot of the times, you get a bad name, well, they've been breached. It's too late. The damage is done.
And that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what business you're in. You could be a dentist and your data gets breached and you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's all of your client base.
Yeah.
You're talking about 2, 3, maybe 4,000 clients that you're servicing.
Yeah.
They're not all coming in monthly, but you're servicing all those people.
Yeah.
You have their health card information. You have their addresses, your phone.
Yeah.
You're literally just going to putting their life in danger.
Absolutely.
In a way.
Identity theft is massive. And it costs a lot to unravel it once it's done. And it's not like you're targeted. This is, like you said, it's mass. So you come in, you hit the right doctor group, you hit the right dentist group, you hit the right law firm. Now your information's out there.
Yeah. And at this day and age we're in, like, everything you do touches a laptop, touches every cloud,
everything.
In any way or shape, you're definitely putting yourself at risk as a business. And then more so as you're putting your clients at risk. So even if you had that insurance, it might end up being you're bankrupt.
Absolutely.
After that, because your clients are suing you for not protecting them. I've given you my data in trust, and you just went out and squandered it because you didn't do the right measures, because you cheapened out on a program like this that could be, $50 to $60, maybe $100 per month per user. That could have prevented me from getting into that.
Yeah. So famous quote I have is going broke, saving money.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't need it. It's not me. It's not going to happen to me.
But the same thing with insurance. You were never going to need insurance. And you only really feel like you need insurance when you don't actually have it.
Yeah. The best clients are the ones that have been breached. Okay. I see the value now. Actually, I lost my data. We recovered off of your backup. It was great. It was flawless. We're happy.
And I guess that's the thing too. Like, sometimes they'll go days, months without reporting it, trying to, save face.
Yeah.
But legalities nowadays, you're screwed as a business.
Yeah.
You have to, by law, you have to report it within a certain threshold of time. And if you pass that threshold, you're now in breach.
Yep.
Not only in breach because you literally been breached, but now in breach of actual laws.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the downside of our business, is that, our clients or potential clients are like, hey, you guys are living with a fear factor. You're selling through fear, but it's not an intentional fear. Like, here's the risk. It's like get in your car and drive without a seatbelt.
Yeah.
You can die.
So you said a couple of things that I just, on that point, I want to dig into it a little bit. You said when you guys transitioned from, serving the consumer to now business to business, you realize the phone is not ringing. You got to go out and get business.
Right.
That is by far, people that have been sitting in that seat for the last year or so, it's the biggest point of contention they have is how can they get the phone ringing?
Yeah.
What are you guys doing to get the phone ringing?
Well, quite frankly, we don't want the phone because usually it's people calling to tell us. But we're operating on a proactive service, right? Like it's cheaper to wait until the wheels to fix it before the wheels fall off.
Sorry, I meant from a client standpoint, like from a sales perspective.
Yeah. From a sales perspective, yeah. I mean, we've been fortunate with the, sort of the way things have gone with the cybersecurity threats and with all the things that are going on. It's almost an easy sale. Like, hey, we're giving you peace of mind.
I do have to cut you off on that one though. Like I see you almost at every networking opportunity there is. I see you putting your name out. You're talking to folks. You're talking to the right clients. You're literally out there collecting business in a way.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things that I was saying earlier. Like a lot of the folks that have been sitting in the seat is that's their biggest point of contention is trying to get the phone ringing, not in the healthy way, in the way, hey, my business needs this, I need you.
Right.
That kind of phone call that we want to get. You guys have been hitting it on the mark. I've seen growth in the last couple of years. I've been watching you guys grow. So that's what we want to share.
And why does John go to all these networking events? Okay, well, they are social.
They are social. He's a handsome devil.
Well, listen, when I stand behind you, there's a strong competition. So the downside of our business is it's trust.
Correct.
Hey, come into my business, pull my pants down, look at everything I have, and then, by the way, keep it safe. So how do you instill trust? You asked me about being a differentiator. And we're a boutique business. So for me, it's building those relationships. It's having my reputation out there. It's talking to business owners and people. I'm also prospecting, but I'm also making sure everybody's a good fit. Like as mentioned, to like expectations. I'm looking at the company that we're as a potential client. What is their operational maturity? Are they a mature enough company to say, hey, we value security, we value our customers, and we will spend the money? Or are they a startup? And hey, like maybe we're not spending any.
We're scraping by at the moment.
We're scraping by. We're doing what we can.
And then that's the thing. Sometimes it's a bit hard to spend money when you don't have it. But like you got to get at that stage where, okay, now I have to spend the money. Yeah. If I don't spend the money, it's actually going to cost me money. Yeah. In the long run.
And having clients that will listen to you, then you're like, hey, my IT doesn't actually cost me money because, Mary at the front desk, she handles it all. Mm-hmm. Well, we get in there and we do, 2 levels of discovery. We'll do a technical discovery. Here's where your state of the union is. Then we'll talk to your staff. Did you know, Mr. Owner, that Mary spends 10 hours a week doing IT stuff when she could be utilizing her skills in another fashion? So your IT is not free. It's the money that you've paid her to do those 10 hours. Plus, it's what she could have been doing for the company to make you money.
Correct.
Not looking at the IT. So it's, it's having, for me, when I'm out and I'm talking to people, I'm having business conversations. Yeah, okay, we sell services and we'll make your life better. But how do we do that to make your business more efficient? Is there software you guys could be doing to find operational efficiency?
Mm-hmm. And then the cool thing about business is a little bit different than that emotional buy when it comes to consumer, right?
Right.
They're really only going to do business with you for 3 reasons.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it for those 3 reasons, I mean, other than maybe they like you, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But it's really those 3 reasons, right? It's either increasing revenue.
Yes.
The other one would be cutting cost.
Yes.
And the third one in your situation, which is probably the most relevant nowadays, is decreasing that risk factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Massive risk factor that we have.
Yes.
Absolutely. So as long as you're having the conversation along those lines, I think there is a sale to be had. There is an opportunity to be had.
Yeah,
sure.
So only when we're doing more of a business case, hey, it cost you this much last year to service your IT. Hey, you were breached.
Yeah.
Okay, forget the nominal money you spent to get out of the breach. What was the reputational damage? Where do we want to be? Let's align ourselves so your customers are also comfortable with the IT that you're getting.
And the breach, sometimes it could be they're just holding your data for a bit as a ransom, this and that. Sometimes, like you said, it's just really just hoping that you don't get caught with your pants down.
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes you're like, okay, we paid the ransom, and then they're sending a key to release the data, but they're not realizing that's already a preloaded key for the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, it's like, hey, we got him once.
He's the worm. We're going to put a worm in there to make sure that we're coming back. Yeah. Because this idiot just paid.
And it is a business. They will give you your data back when you pay because that's, good service. And then they'll give you a nice doormat into the next one.
And now I don't want to say it here on camera, but you're literally my bitch for the next little bit until we actually collect more.
Fool me once, shame on.
Exactly.
Exactly. The same.